Yeah, I can hear you.
Like there's some sound, there's some music.
Yeah, there's a video we are playing.
I didn't destroy it.
I'm gonna switch place. Is it possible to remove the... Hello?
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Do you see me well?
2 minutes, we'll go live, yeah. We'll go live in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Hey, Mikhail, how are you?
Hey, Subhan, I'm great. What about you?
Good. I'm quite excited with our session today. I think you got some nice feedback to the deck that you shared. We are live on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Facebook. Okay.
Amazing.
We have got a few people who have joined here as well. We have Hamsavardhan, we have David, we have Hunglung, Chen. Some of them have been joining many of the sessions. I think they see the value in what we are trying to do. So it's 6:31. I think let's get started.
Okay.
I'll quickly give an introduction to what we are trying to do here. I will also show how the people who are here can join, because one of the things that we are trying to do with this webinar is to make it a community exercise. It's not only about us talking about how to do stuff. I think there's a lot of wisdom out there, and we would like to provide the platform for everybody to actually come and share what's working for them and not working. So in one part it's talking to us in terms of okay, this is what's working, or these are the thoughts we have, what do you think? At least for me, I don't think I'm the fountain of all knowledge, by no chance, by no stretch. I'm learning as much as I'm sharing. The whole idea is that as a community we share with each other, and that's what we want to do here. So basically, what is Lead to Close? Lead to Close is a series that we are doing as webinars as well as one-on-one chats that we have already released two sessions with Karen Kopp and Jeremy Level. The idea is that we try to nail the core problem in B2B sales, that's finding leads. And currently the way it is thought of, it is like a list. A list is not leads. A list is a list. Even if there are a list of so-called ICPs, it's still a list. They don't. A list doesn't make a lead. The idea is to find people who are willing to engage. Mark, what I'm saying, it is not willing to buy, but willing to engage, because the buying will come later. Some of us will engage today to buy after 3 quarters, but it's great because we are actually building relationship and rapport, and some of it Michael will talk about. We need to be clear that if we want to sell today, we go back to that proverbial 3% who are in the market to buy today at the cost of ignoring the 97% who is going to buy next week and next month and next quarter. So we have to make those choices. And the 3%, while we all need it, we need to get our quota this month, this quarter, and so on. That 3% represents the red ocean. All our competitors are over and talking to the same 3%, right? So it's always tough. It's always difficult to convert. Uh, the point is that point of this session is also that there is no silver bullet. We're all trying to find, oh, can we do X plus Y plus Z and then I can get all the sales? That's what we're trying to find. That's not how it works. And we know that, but still we want to find that solution. Can this new can this help us? Can Nickel help us do that? Can Shubhanjan do it? Can Pitchling do it? Can Cold IQ do it? Can somebody do it for us? Actually, nobody can. If you want to just go in and sell, that's very, 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 very tough. We want to discuss issues. We want to bring this. So when somebody asks me, okay, how is this going to be different? I can tell you, whether you see it or not, my objective would be to think of this as a closed WhatsApp group. What do we do in a WhatsApp group? We ask each other questions. We share with each other what we are trying to do. And that's exactly what we want to do in these sessions, in these webinars. Having said that, before I bring Mikkel in and give his intro, I want to quickly tell you something. At the bottom of the screen, there is a microphone. Any one of you wants to come on, just click on that microphone and either me or Mikkel or Pradeep, who is actually helping us from the back end, can bring you in and you can come and share your thoughts. You can share your experiences, your challenges, your successes. So do let us know. Try to not do it in between the session. Try to do it in between the session and not while either of us are presenting. So that way it will be easier. Mikkel will be coming in. He'll have a 15-20 minute session. I know he has a great session lined up. I will talk for 10 minutes. Rest of the time is allocated to all of you. So feel free to raise your hand, come in and talk. Okay. With that, I will switch to Mikkel. See, I told Mikkel, can you share with me what you want me to talk about you? And Mikkel shared with me 3 lines. That's what he wants me to tell. I mean, he doesn't want me to talk about you, but this is what he has told. Mikkel founded Cold IQ. I'm sure you are following. He shares a lot of great tools, which he's curating in his site. It's a website that helps sales and revenue teams pick and leverage the best sales software. He has 7 years of experience in sales and marketing. He runs a sales prospecting agency, which is why he's here, and has helped over 25 B2B SaaS and agencies with their lead generation. Mikkel, welcome to this session. I'm excited and I'm sure people will have a great time hearing you. Come on in.
Thank you very much, Subhan. So I just wanted to know, can you hear me well? Because I see that there is some background noise. I guess it's my fault, so I might want to switch place.
We can hear you.
Okay, you don't hear too much background noise?
There is some noise. If you want to switch, you could, but I think, okay, people are saying they're okay. I think,
okay.
Yeah, I think they're saying it's okay.
No, he's saying noise. He's saying noise, right?
Yeah. Oh, is he saying that?
Let me give me 15 seconds. Let me switch.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, it's better? Okay. So, I'm going to introduce myself, but right before, I like what you said about people thinking that leads is a list plus, going for the pitch instead of going for the conversation. Because, firstly, that's one of the biggest mistakes people make. It's usually, and when I have some consultation request, people tell me, hey, I've got this list. Do you think you can contact and reach out to these people so that they become clients of ours? And so the first question I ask is, how did you even build this list, right? And most people don't even know the reason why the list looks like it is. And I'm going to address this a bit later. And the second thing is this conversation. So we always want to go for the sales first, but you will make as many sales as the number of conversations you have. And so if you focus on this, having as many conversations as possible, then you will make more sales. And that's it's just statistics, right? Just if you talk with 100 people, you will make more sales than if you talk with only 10 people. And what people want to shortcut the process, but as Suban said, there's only a handful number of people who are in the buying market. And something I noticed too is that as you post, for example, as you are active on social media, you'll see that a lot of people that you will talk to will tell you that they've been following you for a few months. And so after seeing what you've been posting about for a few months, that's the moment where they decide, okay, I want to talk with this guy. So that means that for them, it took them some time. There are a few reasons for this. Maybe they were not interested right there. Maybe it's your content that did the selling, or maybe they were just not ready, right? And so that's why it's important to just cultivate these relationships as opposed to go for the sale directly. So
Absolutely.
that being said, I'm gonna go and show my screen.
Yeah,
So
and I'll
that's
also get off the stage so that I give you the full screen. Okay.
amazing. Wait, how is it? Okay. So can you see my screen here?
Yes.
Okay. Amazing. So that's just me with a nice background picture. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And that's the, and actually you introduced it right, is for me, when you think about sales prospecting, there are really three important things. You want to make sure you are talking to the right person. You want to make sure that while you are talking to this person, you are bringing some value. And you want to make sure that any kind of outreach you send lands, meaning you don't land in a spam folder or that it's not in your, something I see a lot is that lots of sales teams are actually missing quota, not because of the message that's wrong or because they should have targeted better, but mostly because prospects don't even see the message. And so those three things, if you address them, you will see your results will improve a lot. And so when I talk about targeting first approach, that's what Suban was talking about. Don't think about what you will write to your prospect after building your list. You want to think about why you would be reaching out to some people, and based on this, you will build your list. So if I can give you a few examples, I think something that a lot of companies have, and if you've been in business for some time, you have a lot of clients and projects that you work through it. And so an easy way to build lists that are targeted is to look at your past clients, look at the results you've had, and then based on this, look for similar companies, because then the pitch is pre-made, right? Let's say you help the client rank for some specific keywords for, and you're an SEO company. What you can do is find companies trying to rank for those similar keywords. And then once you reach out to them, you can directly pitch them saying, hey, we've helped a few companies rank for these kind of keywords. The difficulty of ranking for this keyword is similar to the ones you're ranking for. Can I send you a breakdown of the way we've done this? And so that means that when you build your list, instead of just trying to find as many companies as possible, you will try to identify companies that have the same characteristics, because the reason why you would be reaching out to this company is because you actually think that you can help them. And so this brings me to my second point, which is try to find a valid reason to reach out. And based on the reason you think is valid, build some kind of hypothesis. And some of the ways you can do this is, for example, looking at job openings, technologies used, the prospect social activity. So, for example, let's say that a company is opening a few jobs in the marketing department, and it shows that they're trying to invest in the marketing. So, if you have a solution that's related to this, you can find an angle to approach them. Similarly with technologies, I'm talking about companies investing in some specific software. Let's say you see that they just invested in a sales engagement platform, then it means that they're probably going to ramp up their sales activities. And so this is another thing you can leverage in your targeting and in your outreach, because if you have a solution that can help them get better results for outreach, then you can mention the fact that you've seen that they installed this specific technology, and that's the reason why you're reaching out. And so then provide some value around sales engagement. And then similarly, with prospect social activity, for example, let's say you have a solution for video content or something similar. Something you can do is you can look at, for example, prospects that have been posting a lot on LinkedIn. And then because you've seen that they've been posting a lot, you can tell them, hey, we've seen that you've been posting a lot of great posts. What we do is that we help companies with their video or put out some video content, and because you've been posting, you thought you would be interested in this, as you're already putting some effort in the content. And so those are the kind of things you want to think about, because what you want to do is you want to have this hypothesis, and then you want to invalidate them as you build your outreach. And at some point, you'll see that some work better than some others, and so you will be able to improve results, because everything that you do after the targeting just stems from the fact that you had a valid reason to reach out to these people. And sorry. And so if you think about like the workflow or how you can build this kind of process with tools, one way I like to do it is to start at the company level. So trying to identify these companies that could need our help. And for this, I used a software like like Ocean. And basically what Ocean does is that once you have a lot of past clients, it lets you build a list of similar companies in a very easy way. But that's not the only one you can use. Like if you see that there are some job openings, or if you see some other triggers or signals, you can build those companies based on this hypothesis, and then go for the next step, which is identifying contacts within this company. And for that, I like to use either Apollo or Sales Navigator. Basically, what you can do with Apollo is that you can just decide that you want to filter for CEO, head of sales, or whatever, and then you will get a good list of contacts, and you can find email addresses within Apollo directly. And then there are a few tools that I like to use to make sure that my lists are clean and that I find as many contacts as possible. And so these are with Better Contacts, which is a solution that aggregates a lot of data sources. So with this, I'm able to find a lot more email addresses, because I'm not using one email provider, but I'm using 10 email providers. And after I'm done with this, I want to make sure I clean this list. So I would use Debounce, one of the solution. And then there is this tool called Scrubby. And what it does is that if you've been building lists, you will see that very frequently you will have a lot of catch-all email addresses, which are email addresses that you cannot verify. And Scrubby actually verifies those email addresses. And so this is an example of a list building workflow, but obviously it has to be adapted to your specific needs. But I'd say in most cases, try to have something where you start at the company level with some based hypothesis, and then you go from there. So I have some example of value first approach. So in most cases, I would advise you to go direct, because you never know. In some niches, or if you have a very practical solution, people will be happy to hear you talk about it and to book a demo directly. Now, when you're in some competitive market, you might want to go and find another angle. And so, for example, something I like to do is to create some content around my solution and then send it. So, for example, in this example, I say, "Hi, first name. I saw on platform that you do this thing." And I will pitch them saying, "Hey, I've worked with these companies on their client acquisition strategy, and we've done this and that. But instead of trying to book a call, I asked them if it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to share my 5-step guide on how we sold services." And so I'm not pitching the call, I'm pitching a content first approach. And what happens when you do that is that you'll notice that your reply rate will increase a lot, But the people who want to talk with you directly will still ask you to book a call. So that's interesting because you can talk directly with some of the people, and then these other people you can put them in some other sequence where after they've been reviewing your content, you can ask them what they thought of it, and then build some different messaging around this. Another thing I like to do, and that's more applicable to uh, people who sell sales services, but it's, for example, building list of contacts. So, in this example, I said, hey, first name, here's a list of heads of marketing for all WordPress websites that have installed the Yoast extension in the past 6 months. Now, I thought it'd be relevant for you as they're probably interested in ramping up their SEO efforts. And so this, for example, is in the case where I'm targeting SEO agencies. What I'm doing is I'm doing the first step of what I would do for them if they were my clients, but I'm just offering it for free. I'm saying, hey guys, this is a way you could find clients. I've actually done the work for you. Just take it. And because I'm providing that much value, if they were looking to do it, then they will reply to me and see how I can help them further. And then another way I like to offer value is to give them some ideas, and that's linked to what I was talking about, where I'm saying you need to build hypotheses as to why someone would be interested. And so here, what I'm doing is that I'm pitching SEO agencies, for example, and instead of trying to convince them of getting my services, I'm giving them an idea for how they could approach outreach, and then telling them that if they think this idea is good, I can help them implement this idea at a way higher scale. So in this case, for example, I'm telling them that if they want to find people interested in implementing SEO, they could go on LinkedIn, look at SEO events, and then look at all the attendees from these events. And then based on this, they could extract a list of directors or above, and then they would know that these people are directors or above in title, plus that they have some interest in learning more about SEO. And so that's some kind of hypothesis. We don't know if it will work or not, but that's an hypothesis for why someone would be interested. And so that's one step further than just contacting everybody in your lists for no specific reason. And so in the end, I'm telling them this can be done at scale. Want me to show you how? And this is a great conversation starter. So deliverability, that's one of the three elements I've talked about in the beginning of the presentation. 44% opens. That's the average open rate across 6 million emails analyzed by QuickMail. And this is a metric that can be easily improved. And when I was talking with sales leaders, something I've noticed by going in a lot of campaigns, is the fact that the open rates are very low in most cases. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but that can be easily improved. And if you double your open rates, you will double the number of people who reply to you. It's just basic math. And so there are some stuff that you can do every time you launch a new campaign, which are setting up some secondary domains. So, having domains that redirect to your main domain, setting up the SPF, DKM, and DMARC cards, so that just give trust to emailing platforms, warming up the domains, so simulating interactions between your mailbox and then other mailboxes, so that every time you land in the spam folder, then these other mailboxes will remove you from the spam folder and put you back in the main folder. And then you should avoid leaks and image and make sure to keep a low sending volume per inbox. So if you want to send 1,000 emails a day, instead of sending 1,000 emails from one inbox, it's better to build 15 to 20 inboxes and then send 50 emails per inbox, and you'll have a way higher open rates than if you do the opposite. So here I've wrote down about a few ways you can get creative in your outreach, and that's linked to deliverability. So you can do your best at making sure that you land in the main folder of your recipients, but some people don't read their emails, So in this case, it's good to try to contact them on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Some people are not interested in seeing what you have to write, so maybe you can attract their attention by sending them a videos. And so those are a few things you can think about. It's like if people aren't responding to your outreach, it might be because of the platform you are using. So some people are not hanging in the right in the same platform where you are hanging. And I think as salespeople, sometimes we think that if we spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, then our recipients or prospects will spend a lot of time on LinkedIn too, which isn't true at all. And so that's something that needs to be thought about. And lastly, one more thing to improve your reply rates is personalization. And so personalization, it starts with the way you build the list. And so that's what I was mentioning at first. The fact that if you build an hypothesis as to why some people will be interested, when you build your list, you build it in a way that only have these people inside the list, and you can address this in your copywriting, which means that the message will already be personalized. That being said, you can leverage AI to personalize it one step further. For example, by using AI icebreaking tools. So what those tools do, for example, is that they will go on your prospect LinkedIn profile, and based on what they find in the profile, they will write something very specific. For example, based on the summary or the past experiences or the recommendation that they've had, and then they will send them something, and it will look like every message you sent has been individually personalized for the prospects. And then lastly, and that's my favorite, is using AI generated video. And so there are some new tools that let you record the video once and then let you change the background dynamically, the first name, the company name. And so, for example, if I were to record a video for Suban saying, "Hey, Suban, I saw your website and I thought we could collaborate together. Would you be interested in Code Like You and PitchLink working together?" Then what the AI tool would do, if I wanted to use the same video for someone else, is that it would change the first name. So if it was for me to say, "Hi, Michelle," if it was for another company name, it would replace PitchLink with Code IQ, and then it would even change the background. So instead of saying PitchLink website, we would see my website. And so doing that, you can actually record thousands of videos by just spending 5 minutes recording one. And so that's pretty impressive. One of the tools I use to do that is called Ubiquity. So you'll see it here. Here I've been listing a lot of the tools I use. I think they all have some kind of unique value proposition. So here, for example, I've been talking about Ocean that lets you build similar companies. I've talked about Better Contact that aggregates a lot of data sources. I've talked about Ubiquity, which is the AI personalization video software. OpenBox, which does the AI personalization. And so I recommend that you go and check all these tools. One of the reasons why I've been creating all these tools is that, to me, the fact that businesses are able to make money out of an issue they identify in the market, make a SaaS out of this, means that there is some value to be added to your sales process. And so something I've been doing recently that has given me a huge advantage over other, say, lead generation companies is that I've been diving deeper into what SaaS does and what are the specificities. And when you do that, you see and you gain some edge that people don't have, because whenever one SaaS is profitable, it's because there are users that are getting results out of it. And so if you are able to aggregate, all the small edge that those tools give you, then your sales process can become way more efficient. And I would advise you to check all these tools. You can go on my website, codelikeyou.com/tools. There is a small description for all these tools. And just take a look at all of them. Look at the video demos. Look at what they do, because there is a probability that you're doing something right now within your sales process that's not as efficient, or that could be automated with a tool, and that could both save you time and make your sales process more efficient. And so there's no reason not to leverage those. So I think that's it for me today. I'm happy to reply to any question you would have, and thank you for listening.
Hey, this is great, great, Mikhail. I think there's a lot of value. So I will start off with a couple of questions. The first question is, one of the things you touched upon at the end, towards the end, is the deliverability of mails, right? So there are the systems that you need to set up and all that. Uh, and we also know that email service providers like Google and Microsoft, they're pushing back on cold emails, right? So the question is, there are two types of mails we can send out. One which are completely cold, which means somebody who knows nothing about me and I'm pushing it out again based on that list that we spoke about, right? The other thing is mailing people who have some idea about who we are. For instance, the people who are attending today's webinar, if I go out to them, or the people who had signed up and to whom I'm possibly going to send out the recording of this session, these people have some idea about who we are and we are reaching out. So my question to you is, are the technical fixing the technical specs like DMARC and all enough to land in the inbox, or how critical it is, or what else do we need to do to be in the inbox?
I think it's a great question because ultimately you can set up and have the perfect sending infrastructure, but if nobody wants what you have, if everybody reports you as spam, then at some point, even if you keep your sending volume under 10 emails a day, you will land in spam. And so I think it's important to make sure that whatever you are pitching someone is something people want, because sometimes we think that we have to improve every metric across the board, while we actually have to improve the thing that we're offering. And so, to your point, you will get better results when people know you. And I think that that's some untold truth about cold outreach, is that who you are, both as a company and as an individual, matters as much as what you are sending. Some people, if Bill Gates sends you a message and he doesn't personalize his approach, you reply to him, right? Or if I send you a message very personalized and you're not interested about the message, then you won't reply to me. And so I think those are stuff that improve the rates, but at the same time, you cannot pre-build relationships with everybody. And when you sell something that people need, reaching out cold still working. And as it stands now, the people who set up the technicals right are still able to have 80% plus open rates. And so I don't think we're at this point yet where we need to always pre-warm our audiences.
So I'll just ask a follow-up question to that. See, you mentioned something very critical. That is, if you can provide something people need, and if it is a cold list, so to say, how do you predict what they need? I mean, I may think you need something, but you actually may not. So how do we how do we narrow the numbers to make it more relevant? That's what you're saying. So share something that is relevant to the person, right? Need, I think, is a broader word, but something relevant to them. How do you sort of figure that out according to you?
There's only one way to know for sure, and it's experimenting. So that's why I'm saying you need to build hypothesis. You're not saying I'm building a truth. I'm just thinking that based on what I know about sales prospecting and what I know, given the fact that I've been working with marketing agencies, one good approach is then that they might need something, and I might be completely off. But if I'm completely off, once I send my outreach, I will notice it pretty fast. Sorry, I will notice it pretty fast because people won't reply to me, and so that's why I will change my approach. And so that's what I'm saying is you build those hypotheses and then you invalidate them.
Yeah.
And if you build enough hypotheses that are actually valid in terms of we could have thought that they would work, then some will work, and those are the ones that you will be pushing as most as you can.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So the second question is more like I wanted to put you in a spot a bit. You showed one of the three techniques that you shared today was about finding out about events that are happening on LinkedIn and going and joining them. So would you be able to explain to us how do you actually go and do those searches? How do you search for events in LinkedIn?
Yeah, of course. So what I do, let's say I want to pitch SEO services. If you go on LinkedIn, on the search bar on top, you can write SEO, and then you will see that you've got a lot of things, like you can see people, companies, like all
Right.
these kind of filters, and you can tick events. And so once you tick events, then you will only see those events. And at this point, what you should do is you should look at the number of participants, because some events have 3 to 4 participants, so it's not worth joining them. But like if you see that they have at least 100 participants, then you know that you will have a list of at least 100 participants. And so that starts being interesting in terms of seeing the list, extracting this list, and then seeing who you can reach out to from this list.
That's great. So I, as you are talking, I just did a quick exercise. So I put sales and I did a search and I sorted by event, and there are 1,500 events listed today at this moment on sales. See, and actually, I mean, and some of them have like 14,000 attendees. I mean, unbelievable. Okay.
Yeah, and so that's what nice about it is the more personalization points you have about people, and the easier it's gonna be to show that you've made your research. So, for
Right.
example, if you see something where it's 14,000 people, then you've got first the fact that they participated to this event, but then based on this, you can go further and look at the titles they have and like which company type they are from. And so it means that you can end up doing some outreach where you just personalize based on 3 to 4 personalization points without having to go over each profile one by one,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
try to say something different. So it means that you would be able to personalize at some kind of scale,
Right.
which makes the process easier.
So typically, would you suggest a tool when, for instance, one signs up for one of those events which has several hundred participants or attendees, which means they'll be sort of they would have indicated that they're going to attend. They would have signed up, so to say. Is there a way to extract those profiles? What tool would you
Yes.
recommend for that?
So you can use Phantom Buster for that.
Okay, but they do
Yeah.
ban that kind of, I mean, some of these LinkedIn bans, right? So where
So
is
you,
the safe route for that?
exactly. So you need to be careful with this. So you've got two options. Either you limit your extraction or scraping to a certain number of people. So, for example, like don't extract more than 2,000 contacts every day. Or you can use some burner accounts. So, for example, there are some websites where you can just get those accounts, or you can ask someone to do it for you so that
Yeah,
you don't put your account at risk. But usually, before they ban you, they will send you a warning, which
yeah,
I didn't have yet, thankfully, but I know some people have. And so
sure.
this is the time where you know that you should halt your operations.
Yeah, yeah. And I would actually think that if you can attend and do connect with some people, I mean, obviously you are not going to reach out to 14,000 people or 500 people. I mean, that's not what you're going to do. You are going to reach out to only a handful. And again, I'll go back to what we originally talked about, starting a conversation. So actually start the conversations and see where it leads. The urge to reach a lot of people should be managed, should be controlled.
Yeah, exactly. Don't spam everybody. It doesn't work anymore, especially if you do it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn will block you pretty fast.
Yeah.
If you do it on Google with like one mail inbox, it will also be in the spam folder. And it's like even if you use a lot of different inboxes, once Google sees that you are sending the same message with 20 different inboxes to thousands of people, they will block this message too, and you will land in spam.
Yeah.
So the spam approach doesn't work as well as it used
Yeah.
to. In a way, it's better. So that's why you need to be making your research.
Yeah, and fundamentally, I think we need to understand that spamming. We would not like getting spammed, right? I mean, would you want a lot of unrelated, irrelevant mails into your inbox? No. Would I want it? No. So if we don't want it, then we should not be doing it to others, right? I think we have to have a balance, and I think again, as you said, we have to lead with value, and we have to, I think we have to keep that as our north star. If we are sure 100% that yes, if I reach out to Mikkel, or I reach out to Tom, or to Hamsavardhan, uh, I am going to give some value to him, and that's the only reason I should reach out. If I cannot do that, I should not be reaching out. I think that's really
Yeah,
the
I completely agree because one of those things that help you sell more is having conviction in whatever you do. I feel like if you have this belief that every person you are reaching out to, you are helping them in a way, then you won't feel ashamed of reaching out to people. You know, sometimes if you're not convinced about a product or a service, then you will not want to be contacting people because you'll think, well, I'm just bothering people. But in this case, you're thinking I'm helping these people, you know. So whether they like my outreach or whether they don't like being reached out to or not, if they were to read what I have to tell them, they will gain some value out of it.
yeah.
And to me, it makes it easier because it just means that I don't have to feel ashamed uh, to be just sending hundreds of messages every day because I know that like all those people they will get some value from it if they want to.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think leading with value is this important. That's important.
I totally agree. Great, Mikkel. I think this was a great session, and I think this is what is critical, because what I mean by that is we need to take away one or two or three ideas. It's not that all of us will be able to implement everything. I mean, there is so much information out there, right? I mean, it's not funny. I mean, if you just try to follow, in fact, I had asked one of my colleagues to make out a list of all the posts that are happening with Chat GPT. Just track the number of posts on LinkedIn with Chat GPT, and over a period of 7 days, I think she identified like 600-700 posts, and 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 not that all of them are bad or all of them are good. I'm not even getting there. I'm not even getting into the qualitative value. But I'm just saying, if you are in LinkedIn and you are trying to figure out what to do with Chat GPT, it's next to impossible. So what you end up doing is you keep saving the stuff which you'll never go back to and never read. Right? That's what you do. You save because it's so important, looks so good, and you click save, and that's it, right?
Yeah, yeah, I have this exact same problem because there are a lot of interesting posts, to be
Yeah.
honest. But then, how do they apply to you? And so, you know how in the beginning, one of the problem people have is that they would be undereducated in the
Yeah.
sense that they just don't read about anything, so they don't learn about anything. But nowadays, if you're on social media, or, I don't know, YouTube or LinkedIn, then you're just saving so much information without doing anything with it. So sometimes you have to force yourself, just do something, and then based on what you do, learn about it instead of trying to learn about something and then see how you can apply it into
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great. So with that, I will give a 10-second break. Okay. Tom wants the mic. I will bring him in. Let me bring him in. Tom, where are you? I did bring him in.
Okay, there we
Yeah, there
go.
he is. Hey.
two buttons on a small screen. There you go. All right. Yeah, thank you. This was really good. I mean, we're all up against it, and it's what you say makes total sense, and it's a question of how do we deploy these campaigns and strategies, and yeah, I mean, the whole concept of we've got to think of as ourselves as the people that, you know, when we're on the other end, if we put ourselves in those shoes, it's would I appreciate this information, and that message at the top is so key. Do I even bother, whether it's in LinkedIn or anywhere else? It's is this something I want to read later, now? And our challenge is obviously how do we get it you send it to them on Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. Well, they have no time to read it now. How are they going to remember to read it when they have some time? Is it 5 o'clock in the evening, or is it on weekends? I save a lot of readings that I send emails to myself to catch up on stuff. But, you know, I probably catch up on 30% of all the stuff I had good intention to follow up in. So it's but you're bang on, and love to keep the conversation going on how we can do this. It's, you know, you build your campaigns and you got to have good content that's going to be valuable enough for them to keep wanting to click on it. And I think you're also very bang on that people, after a month or three of receiving information like that, they're sort of now looking back, you know, is it worth continuing, and is there a trigger point that says, yeah, I actually want to talk to somebody about this. So it's not simple.
No, it is not. It's not. Absolutely.
It was easy. Everybody would be doing it right, but
Yeah.
very few people are, right? So.
Yeah, and see, I've been, as you might have noticed, all the conversations that I have, I think one of the biggest challenge, and I don't know, to me it looks very obvious, but obviously it is not obvious, or people don't want to do it. That is, we know that if I reach out to you or Michael today to sell PitchLink, I will not be able to make that sale just because both of you are in sales. That's not why you will buy it. You need to see the value of what we do. And it cannot be just going and saying, hey, you know what, I have this great tool and it can do A, B, C, D. So the point is, we know that we need to nurture, and we refuse to nurture.
It falls under that category of patient. We all look for patient capital to invest in a business. Well, we, as salespeople, we need patient management to be able to provide the resources, the funding, all those pieces to make it work. And everybody's wanting leads and closed business, but it's chicken and the egg. You don't get the eggs unless you've fed the chicken, sort of thing. I was just at an ag tech conference last week, so my food and aggregate agriculture analogies are high. So
Absolutely bang on. Because I had a conversation with Amy Franco a few months back, and actually I was going through the transcript of our conversation for the next volume for fixing the 5% problem, and she's actually saying that if you have the average tenure of a vice president of sales, which is the leader of the sales in organization, at 18 months, where is the time? So they take 6 months to get a hang of what's going on.
Yeah.
And so they have.
If you're lucky if you get that, actually, that you should get 6 months, but my experience has been it's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So
management is telling him that if I don't make the quarter, my investors are going to sort of be after my blood, and if they're listed, I cannot go to the next income call with Wall Street, and so on and so forth. So this whole scenario where you are very tightly focused on the near future, you refuse to do the long term, which means you are always looking at the short term. You never look at the long term. But 5 quarters have gone by. If you started then, you would have been in the long term by now. I mean, somehow it's so obvious, but I mean, whether it means splitting up the team and getting a part of the team. So one of the things is that marketing is supposed to do that, and it's obviously not happening for many reasons. I mean, the dialogue between marketing and sales, the non-existent dialogue between the marketing and sales is one of the reasons. And companies who have actually brought in sales and marketing teams together have actually got much better results. Yet, we believe that they're silos. Anyway, this is
that
great.
drip marketing, drip marketing, and last one of the companies I was involved with, drip marketing was something they'd get to, but in other words, they worked on the big high level message on the website, and they were going to get to drip marketing, but it was always manana, and the communication with sales was, we need a campaign on this particular issue you want us to sell. So let's get something that will actually talk to a story that we're doing with an existing customer. That way we can, but no, we're talking cybersecurity is the big thing, and we do that. And it's like, yeah, well, so does everybody else. And there's no, and the drip is not a drip. It's going dry. So it's,
Absolutely.
And plus that 5%. I mean, when you're trying to do Hail Marys and trying to get results so quickly, you're still leveraging off that little 5% response rate, which is, you're not giving it a chance to get up to 15 or whatever. In fact, company we were working with last week talking about, they're bragging about getting a 15% open rate, and it's like, okay, that is awesome. Okay, now what are we doing next? Are they going to keep opening at 15% because they see value, or is that going to trickle down to nothing because we haven't been able to deliver value to them and interest them beyond that? They might have had the best opening line that got that 15% that first time, but if it doesn't ultimately turn into closed business, it's it was nice, and it was a bit of a Hail Mary that worked. So there you go.
Wonderful. This is great, Tom. Thank you so much. I will go through my session. I mean, in all fairness, I have been repeating my session, so some of you would have seen this, but I really believe in it. So I think it is good enough to go for a couple of more. So yeah. I will sort of start off with mine, and feel free to come back in if you want to comment on that. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, I think Tom wants to say something. 1 second, I'll let him in. Come on, Tom. Okay, thanks, Samshvardhan. Okay, I think something he has written. No, he's done. He says he's done. Okay, so let me share my screen and quickly. Where am I? Okay. So I will move past the slides which were supposed to show you how to participate. Okay, we have pretty much discussed some of these just now. Buyers are not really wanting to engage, and that's the buyer indifference, the noise. Hi, thanks, David. Thanks. Mikkel, David says that he's got to run, but he enjoyed your session. Thanks. Drop in next session. Next session is on 14th of June, and that's with Vaibhav Namburi of Smart Lead. So do come back. So basically, the buyers are not engaging because we are not being relevant, and we are under this pressure to. We are under the pressure to engage with them, but they're under no pressure to engage with us, and they don't want to socialize. They don't want to do face to face, and so on. So, and this is not something I am saying. It is evident. Gartner defined the buyer's journey. It is not linear. It is not the IDA path. It is a chaotic back and forth, and the buyers come much later in that process. It's essentially a change management, changing the status quo kind of thing. It's always very difficult, especially if it is a high-end, expensive product in B2B. We are not talking of a decision which costs $5,000, but if it is more, it is a difficult process, and the buyer has to go through lots of internal challenges, internal buy-ins before they can talk to a vendor. And when you're in the nurturing mode, when you're in the engagement mode, non-selling mode, your ability to actually get onto that bandwagon when the thought processes are getting sorted is much higher than if you wanted to engage today and try to sell. And other stat that is there is, if this is from the same Gartner report, I think it is 2020, 2021. I don't think they have an updated one. There they say that the buyers allocate about 17% of their time for vendors, and that is shared between multiple vendors. So essentially, you may end up having only 2% of the time for the entire cycle, and that's something we need to keep in mind. Essentially, the challenge is opening the conversation. Closing is actually simpler if you think of how your sales processes go. And I would love to hear from you guys if you have some alternate thoughts, and if you want to share something else. I'm happy to talk to you about that, and give you a platform right now to talk to us about that. Conversation opening means that you have something of value to offer to your prospect, and the prospect wants to talk to you. To come to that is far more difficult than trying to close, because closing comes when lot of data has been exchanged, lot of information is there. You know who the people are, who are in the buying committee, what their internal stakes are for each individual. As you know, each of the member of the buying committee has a different exit expectation, right? Different outcome expectation. The CFO is talking of conserving money or improving some processes primarily in terms of finance. The CEO is talking of overall revenue. The end user is talking of actually just figuring out how to do something more efficiently, and so on. So each of them have a different yardstick, different requirement as an outcome. And when you're in the closing mode, you have all this information. When you are starting, you have no clue. You are just trying to figure out whether there is some opportunity to serve a prospect who will then share internal information with you, which will sort of take you to the stage that I just described. So we talk of a 3S square framework. I mean, it's an evolving thing. We used to call it 4S, but now it's 3S square, and this is what it stands for. There's 3 stages we are talking of, and we talk always in terms of make buying easy. Buying is a hard process. Again, not my words. Possibly Gartner, McKinsey, Forrester, all of them talk about this, that B2B buying is very, very hard because so much rides on it. The framework to engage with B2B prospects, the first stage is search and share. There is no ask. In fact, Mikkel mentioned that the ask comes later. First, give value. So search to identify those hooks, those pointers, those indicators. I mean, you can talk of intent. You can understand a lot of intent. There are, of course, products like Bombora and Zoom Info. All of these have some intent data available, but I mean, uh, I would I would say again, I mean, that kind of intent data is what is that 3% is about. You need to look at things, the indicators ahead of the curve. What I mean by that is if somebody, for instance, is going to buy our buyer engagement platform, we are a remote selling tool which essentially helps people get over buyer indifference, right? So how do we do that? For me to understand that is there a pain, I need to look for indicators much early. So are they reporting that, oh, I'm having very low buyer engagement, or I don't understand, I have this great product but people just are not engaging, people are not showing interest when I'm reaching out one on one, I get great feedback, but when I reach out to more people, I don't. So whatever those are, whatever we need to identify, we do that and sort of try to get in early in that process when they're trying to figure out, oh, should I use Google Drive to share, should I use DocSend, should I use A, B, C, whatever. Should I build better collaterals? Should I use Venn diagrams to engage people? How do I have the opening? How do I write the opening mail which will make them click, and so on and so forth? So as people are going through that process, add value, bring in inputs, bring in information, share, and we start engaging with them. And that's what we are talking about in search and share. That's what you do. And then you seek information, not a meeting, but information. Will they share with you what is going on? What is going on? What are the challenges? Giving a space without pressure to your prospect to share with you, and sort of ask you, hey, can you tell me how AI can be used to actually write some personalized? Are they really personalized? I have some doubts about AI and AI based, chat GPT based idea. There's so much I hear. So this is the prospect speaking. There's so much I hear, so many tools people are talking of. Every other day I'm getting mail from AppSumos of the world and affiliates of the world who are sending me all kinds of information. How do I make sense of this? So if you have been able to get there, I think you have done your job well. And that's, I think, part of the challenge that we have. And then you support them. How you support them? For that internal discussions that they have to go through in terms of convincing people, in terms of making presentations, in terms of getting budgets allocated. So how do you sell this to your CFO? How do you sell this to your director of marketing, and so on and so forth? So seek information, give support. And then you co-solve and ensure that delivery happens. So that's the next slide. I just explained to you what you need to do. So basically, you work with the customer to build the solution so that it's absolutely custom fit, and you ensure that the delivery happens. So one question that I've had in the past, and I would like to sort of address that, is that, hey, we are selling SaaS. Say, for instance, we PitchLink is selling a SaaS. What do you mean by custom fit? I mean, this is not something we can really customize for individual customers, right? So a platform like PitchLink is used by customers where they build presentations as the first step and send it out to prospects. These are all personalized presentations using multiple collaterals. So where we will sort of get into custom fit is we will actually advise them that these are the kind of collaterals you need to tell your story well. So we coach them in storytelling and tell them, you know what, you don't really need a video, you need an infographic. with a voice. That will tell your story much better, because you have a complex system. If you try to show them a demo in the initial stage, they'll not get it. That's what we do. That's how the custom fit happens in case of pitch link. So in each of your cases, you have to think how that custom fit works, so that the customer is off to the races. And then you ensure that, for instance, if we have told somebody, these are the kind of collaterals you need to build, we ensure the follow through. How? We find suppliers, we find freelancers, we find vendors who can actually build those things for them. So we make it extremely easy for them. And we have a lot of information, remember? So we do the briefing. We will give the brief to the agency saying, hey, this is what they need. This is what they're trying to sell. This is their audience. Now go talk to them and give them the solution. So that's what makes it value for my customer. And we ensure that the information is passed on, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it from me. If you have any question, I'll take a 30-second. We are already 3 minutes over our time. I will give you guys 30 seconds in case you have any questions. Michael, if you have some thoughts to share, please feel free to come back. I will keep this on the screen so that guys can note down the numbers and emails and so on. Yeah. So any thoughts you would like to share? That will be great.
No, so yeah, thank you very much for organizing this. I think it's great, and I've seen that you have some great guests. Like you had some great guests, you will have some even better guests coming. Vibe is great, so I urge everybody to come to the next sessions and all the sessions. I know I will be attending, so thank you for that, Subhan.
Thanks, Mikhail. I appreciate. So I have to do the customary vote of thanks. I want to thank Mikhail for sharing his thoughts and ideas with all of you, and all of you for making it to the session. We intend to do 2 such sessions every month. This is the 7th one. There is a gap end of May, and I'm to be blamed because I'm sort of taking a small break. But the next one is up on 14th of June. That's with Vaibhav Namburi, as I said, the founder of Smart Lead. We'll send you a mail with details, and we will obviously publish and share this. Thank you, and wish you all valuable conversations with your prospects so that you can get to whatever goals you are trying to reach with them. So both you and your customers win in whatever you are trying to do. Mikhail, thank you so much. Guys, thank you very much. And I appreciate your journey and your time. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.